So I got to tell y'all what's going on with my truck right now. So I don't use my platform to bash people, especially businesses. In general, it's not my thing. But I am going to start leaving honest reviews of businesses to warn other people. So the last few days, my brakes on my Ram 1500 have been starting to squeak. So I took it to Mavis Tires and Brakes in Shorewood, Illinois, right outside Chicagoland. They had some decent reviews online. I called around a few places, so I took it there. I dropped it off yesterday morning at 8 a.m. I was literally the first person there. So they called me up and said, I'm going to need all new brakes for both axles. It's going to be about $1,200. I was like, okay, whatever. So go ahead and do it. Then they called me back and said, oh, by the way, it turns out your calipers are also bad. And, they're all worn down and you need new calipers. It's going to be another $650. I was sick about that, but what are you going to do, right? You can't have bad calipers. So I said, go ahead and do it. Then someone else from the place called me back and said, you know what, Mr. Cochran, it turns out your master brake cylinder, have no clue what that is clogged, and you need a new one of those, and it's going to be another 600 and something bucks. So all day long, I'm up to like $2,400. I'm sick about it, but what are you going to do? I guess I need a new master brake cylinder. So then they call me back, another kid, and he says, you know what, Mr. Cochran, great news. I went in there, and it turns out you don't need a new master brake cylinder. So, give us a little bit and we'll get her done. And I was like, okay, cool. Then they call me back and say, Mr. Cochran, we've never seen this before. We're so sorry, but we can't get your brakes to bleed. And, and we also can't reset your ABS. He said, the dealers are doing things now to keep third-party shops like this out of their systems, so they can't reset my ABS system. I'm like, what the? He's like, yeah, I know it's wild, but you know what, Mr. Cochran? You are going to have to get your Ram 1500 towed to the dealer at my own expense, and then the dealer can push a couple buttons and reset your ABS system. I'm like, dude, I'm coming up there. So I get up there, I'm like, let me speak to the manager. He's like, she left for like 10 minutes, but she'll be back. So 24 minutes after that, she finally walks in the door. And she says, you know what, Mr. Cochran, I'm so sorry, but I went to another Mavis place to pick up this little computer that they have. And this little computer should help us reset your ABS and you should be good to go. At this point, a little girl from the back comes out and says to the manager, you know what, this little computer that you went and just picked up, the port is messed up or it's not the right port and we can't make it work. So she's like, Mr. Cochran, give me a minute. So they're back there for another 30 minutes. The store's closed at this point. It's past 5 p.m. Remember, I dropped it off at 8 a.m. So it's like 5:35 or something like that. And they come back up there and she's like, you know what, Mr. Cochran, we can't figure it out right now, but please, you just come back and get it tomorrow morning or just call us back tomorrow morning and we're going to stay here and work on it until we finish it. But at about 6:30 p.m., they said, look, we're going home, but we're going to come back in here first thing in the morning and fix it. And then he says, but good news, we are going to replace that master cylinder after all, but we won't charge you for the part and the labor. I'm like, oh, gee, thanks. So I played some games of college football this morning. I wanted to give him some time. I called him about 11 a.m. just a little bit ago, and I'm like, hey, this is Mr. Cochran. I'm calling to check on my Ram. He says, you know what, we're going to put in the master brake cylinder right now. And then he's like, hold on. He yells back to somebody, yo, what's the ETA on the Ram? Dude says, 3 more hours. So I'm going to wait 3 more hours, 2 hours now. And I'm going to call him back and see if they got my truck. This is Mavis Tires and Brakes in Shorewood, Illinois. They've now had my truck 28 hours. What the? So this is part 1. I'll let you know what happens in a part 2.